It's Speak It Thursday, and I'm your girl, Shuli. We are back for another conversation. Tonight, we're calling this Woosah conversation. We've had so much going on in 2020, okay? Period. I just learned today that there was a plot on one of the governors of kidnapping slash murder plot. We've had so much going on with this presidential race. We've had flies on vice president's head. We've had just so much going on, not to mention, right, we're still in the midst of pandemic and we're trying to figure things out. And I don't know who hasn't had this feeling of being on an emotional roller coaster and you're feeling the chaos. I know I had to take a break from social for a hot second because it was just too much. So tonight we're bringing on someone to help us to work through our emotions, free these trapped emotions, all of this stress, all of this anxiety. Umar has a wonderful story of his own of how he came to be an empathic healer. He's the owner of Indigo Healing. And without further ado, we're going to bring him up. And we know how we show our love. We show that with our likes. We have people in the house already. We have Asan Taylor from Texas. So hello, Asan. Welcome. Hello to those people who are tuning in. And if you're catching this on the replay with HOH 77.7, if you're catching us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartMedia, Apple, hello, good evening, good morning, and welcome. But most of all, welcome, Umar.
Hi, thank you, Shuli, for that introduction. I don't know if I ever told you my full story. I've given you bits and pieces. And I feel like I'm going to be open and transparent and vulnerable with the audience tonight because I think it will give credibility. I don't want to stay in the past, but I think by touching on it, it will help someone. So I'm going to open up. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. I am a oldest child. I am a gay African-American male who also happened to have a 10-year drug addiction to crystal meth and cocaine. And my healing journey started the moment I put that first drug in my body.
Okay. Already. Okay. So you just dropped that on us. First of all, you're right. This is my first time hearing about this, and to know that you're on this side of it, and I'm knowing you where you're doing such a powerful work already. It's like, okay, I get it. Give us a little more insight into the healing. You said it started when you put the first drug in your body. Like, dig a little deeper with that. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think sometimes we as human beings, we are so quick to find things to fill voids. We don't want to necessarily do the work required to heal. So we take a temporary out. So my process actually begun with me trying to fill a void. And then I think audiences can relate to that. People sitting on the other side listening can relate to that because there are probably some things that each of us are doing right now in this moment to try to feel that fear, that panic, that depression, trying to fill that void with something. So I wanted to connect that piece. So for anyone out there who's doing that now, I didn't want to start with this, oh yeah, I've done so well, look at my life. I wanted to start with the dark part first so they can see a correlation to where they may be and what may be needed to help transmute.
I feel that because like you said, we're in a dark time as well. We're going to speak for this nation particularly. We have things going on. And like you said, people have things going on in life in general. And it's compounded, I believe, by what's going on. And yes. So thank you so much for your transparency because I feel like that is important to your healing process. And at what point did you start, I mean, in terms of seeking help outside of trying to fill that void?
8 years into that addiction.
Okay. And what did that look like? Yeah.
what it looked like for me is I had a friend that turned me on to an energy healer. And at this point, I was so desperate. I said, "Why not? let's give it a shot." I was so desperate. I didn't really question. I just went with open mind, completely ready to be done, whatever that looked like. I didn't have a
Okay.
clear picture of what that looked like.
Was there a rock bottom moment?
Not necessarily a rock bottom moment the way we tend to think of it. I was seeking the healing. The healing worked. I felt some shifts in my behavior, my thought pattern. I even felt a paradigm shift, but I wasn't really committed to changing completely. So that was
Mm,
a gradual process, and that's a key point for anyone listening, is because sometimes we think if we don't do something instantaneously, if we don't have a dramatic shift, that it's like it's not working, and that's not true.
okay. And I want to dig a little deeper. And again, I have my questions and, of course, things that I want to ask. But just to, like you said, so that people understand, you said something and you said that you're an openly gay and you said openly gay Black male. What part do you feel like that played in the trials you endured?
That was what I wanted to escape, partially because we have society teaching us and telling us, and they start this at a very early age. We are indoctrinated into what this world tells us is right. This is the right way for you to be. This is acceptable behavior.
Yes. And in
And
this house.
yes, and in this house. So there's what you do inside this house. This is what you do when you go to school. Everywhere we go, there are a set of rules that we are trying to constantly adapt to. And by the time I was 20, I felt like I didn't want to, I just wanted to check out.
Hmm.
That was the fear. I just wanted to go somewhere else and be somewhere else and be someone else. I didn't want to have to live in this bodysuit anymore.
Wow. And that's real. And I will say, just like they say in the Black church, you don't look like what you've been through. And I think, like you said, with the healing, now let's go back. I wanted to pivot back to
Okay.
energy work. So, why energy work versus therapy?
Well, the thing for me that is crucial to mention with people listening is I didn't neglect therapy. Therapy was a part of it. I call it your toolbox. So there is therapy. There are uh, books that you can use to assist you. There are so many modalities, and what Indigo Healing is, it's a combination and a blending, and all of those modalities working together synergistically.
Okay.
So I'm not against you going to church. I'm not against you going to counseling. I'm not even against medication if it's going to help you.
Okay. And with that, so we're saying you had Umar then, and then tell us Umar then versus Umar now after you've gone through the process yourself. Tell us how long it took. And yeah, who is Umar now?
Who is Umar now? Umar is still seeking healing. And I'll explain that. You don't get a diploma from healing, because we go through years and years. Let's say you've been on this earth 30 or 40 years, 50 years. You've accumulated so much emotional baggage, so many things that have happened to you, so many things that you're processing. So Umar today is still processing things that happen at 6, 7, 22, 15. It's just things that come to the surface. I deal with them. When I first started this journey, I started acupuncture. I started Reiki. I went to an energy healer that specialized in a modality called SRT,
So you know I'm gonna ask you
meditation.
what is that? What is SRT?
SRT, I never really did get the full understanding. This is how much I was into the healing part. I didn't even
Okay.
care what she did. She sit there with a pendulum, and she had a chart, and this pendulum would move to the area that we needed work on. And I laid there and let her work. I didn't really question too much.
Okay. Can you go a little bit more into the energy healing for the people? Because as we get to the part that I want, the woo saw, but I also think it's important for people to understand. Tell us a little more about energy healing and all that includes.
Yeah, I will, because we hear that word a lot. Energy, energy, we're energy.
Hmm.
And I think we toss that word around so loosely that sometimes we don't actually have an understanding of what it is. So energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So that's one of the rules. Uh, all matter contains energy within it. So there is a molecular structure, movement in molecules. That's energy. Uh, Thoughts, words, deeds, things that we are doing, creating, that's all energy. We're energy. The phones that we use to communicate with, energy. The events that we attend, energy. Everything is energy. So now that we have that basic understanding, we talk about energy work. So energy is supposed to flow. We often hear good energy, bad energy. There's no good or bad energy. It's just
Mm.
energy. And it's either flowing at a fast momentum and in a way that is in line with rhythms and vibration, or it's not flowing fast enough, or it's stuck, blocked, but it's always there.
Mm. So when you say, "Oh, I don't like their energy," what are we saying?
What we're basically saying in energy talk is that we're not vibrating on the same frequency.
Mm.
So everything vibrates on a frequency. Good health vibrates at a certain frequency. Bad health vibrates on a certain frequency. Anger vibrates. Everything in this universe has a vibration. And those vibrations sometimes are different depending on personality. So you might get someone that you say, I don't like their energy. I don't, that person has bad energy. You and that person may just not be vibrating on the same frequency.
Mm. So slow to judge, maybe. Keep it moving and just be like, okay, we're not, because we say things like you said, I don't like their energy, and you can say things like, I don't, you're not sure why you don't really care for a person or why you don't vibe or things like that, where it seems unexplainable, but you're saying it's just not not on the same frequency and keep it moving, or what do we do in those cases?
Well, the thing that is important to pay attention to is how you feel. You don't have to have an explanation for it, but you want to observe how you feel in the moment, because your feelings are an indicator that something may be off. Maybe
Mm.
it's us, maybe it's them. Maybe there are just a few things that need to be addressed for that energy to align and be harmonious.
Okay, so then now let's get into it. So we learned a little bit about energy and how important it is, but talk about like chaos and everything that's going on in the world. Have you been from an intuitive place, because you mentioned intuition and picking up on feelings and things like that? What have you been picking up on, and because I think that's going to guide us in what we're going to work through in a little bit. What have you
Okay.
been picking up on energetically or intuitively? That we need to know about. Tell
Let's
us,
dive in
please.
deep.
Let's
Okay.
dig deep. Why are we
So
feeling all this?
so part of my intuition began actually through that drug addiction. That during that phase, I began to pick up a lot, and I didn't really discuss it because I didn't want to be seen as crazy. Through meditation, that has heightened some. And right now, some of the things that I'm picking up on in my meditation, when I sat still, I saw a flash of people falling, a tower almost where people are not being able to carry what was in the past into the present. So let's break that down.
Yeah, please.
So, so a lot of the times when there is a system change, when there is an upheaval, we are trying to scramble for the things that we used to have, right?
Hmm. That
Not
makes
this
sense.
time around. And this is the energy. This cycle was the cycle that when I was meditating, I picked up on for this week.
Okay. So we're
And
trying to hold on, like bring that to present day. So you're saying there are changes, meaning with COVID, or it could be anything when you're talking about
just
these changes.
it's a shift in the collective conscious. So when I do this particular meditation, it is for what's going on globally. So humanity, what humanity is experiencing. So for this week in this cycle, I use the word cycle a lot because
Okay.
there's not a unfortunately there's not a better word I can find that can capture what is actually what I'm trying to say. But cycle is the closest word that I think other people will understand.
Mm.
So the cycle for this week, energetically, what's playing out is a major transition where the universe is pretty much pushing us along to the next space that we're supposed to be in.
Okay.
And we've already started to pick that up around today, yesterday and today with some of the things that are going on with government, some of the things that are going on with coronavirus, some of the things that are going on just collectively with where we are consciously, what the shifts that are happening. All things that are no longer serving us are starting to just kind of fall apart and break apart. So that's what that image of us being thrusted and catapulted symbolized for me.
Okay. And some people might see that as a negative thing, but I'm like, ooh, okay. What do you think about that? Is it
I
bad?
think it,
Is it more of a warning? How do we handle this?
I think at first glance that an image like that could be very frightening. But for me, it's not frightening at all. I think it's uncomfortable. I don't think it's a comfortable situation. It's like being displaced almost if you're not willing to allow this change to take place. If you're not willing to accept where we are, then
Mm.
I think it can be very confronting.
Whew, so what do we do in these situations? Like, how do we know it? You're sharing this with us. Does that kind of explain how we might be feeling in our bodies and our mental? Like, how does that play into our emotional health?
It perfectly plays into our emotional health because for many of us right now, and including myself, there are moments when I just have to stop and pray or meditate because I feel like it's such an amped up this sea change, this guard change, this system change, this entire shift. It leaves us sometimes wanting to reach for something that is familiar, and those systems are being broken down.
Hmm.
So each of us may be experiencing that in a heightened sense of, like, you may have a heightened sense of awareness of it, whereas before it may have been in the background.
Mm. Now that makes sense to me because when it comes to 2020, like you said, things are happening, and I have my vision that I would say that I got for 2020. And what came up for me was that it was a year of grace. And when you really see in 2020 vision, that means you see everything, even the spots, even the things, the not so good things. And it's not, like you said, exactly horrible. And when you think about grace, that's the cinnamon, or it's an opportunity to get things right. So you're saying that's essentially where we are. So stop trying to hold on to the mess and just go ahead and figure out what we can do
And
to
stop
get it.
trying to cover it up and stop trying to hold it together.
Mm.
Because I think as human beings, we want to present this picture perfect image. And as these things are breaking apart, you're not going to have time to show up looking camera ready always. You may be caught looking a little awkward or funny.
Yeah. So for the people out there, like you said, that are trying to hold on and they're feeling anxious and they have all of these things going on, talk to us about the impact of holding on to things, emotions, holding those inside, like not confronting. Talk to us about trapped emotions.
Okay, trapped emotions. The body is an amazing machine, and it has the capability to store information. In fact, all molecular structures can store information. And when they store information, let's say particularly in our body, if you have an emotion that you have not fully expressed, it can show up as a pain, it can show up as discomfort, tightness, restriction. All these things can happen inside of our body. And that's why energy flow is so important.
Okay. And do you think that we suppress it and we go on, and so that's when it shows up as the pain, or is it just like an automatic?
Sometimes it's automatic, sometimes it's instant.
Okay.
Sometimes you can have a reaction, and I call this kind of like a chain reaction. Maybe something happened to you when you were 5, and that emotion is trapped in the body. And at 35, a similar situation happens, and instantly you begin to have tightness in the muscles, tightness in your body. Maybe you get a headache, and maybe all of a sudden you start getting a sharp pain in your shoulder blade.
Okay.
Now, the funny thing about this is you can go to a doctor and it may manifest years later as disease. They may instantaneously have a diagnosis. Oh, you pulled a muscle, or oh, it's an inflamed nerve. But it all starts with that energy of a situation that becomes a trapped emotion,
Hmm.
later showing up in the body as sickness, disease, or illness of some sort.
How do you release it? That's my question.
Okay, how do you release it? So there are many modalities that you can use to release it. For those of you who are yoga practitioners, those who do yoga, that's one of the simplistic ways to release it. There's emotional freedom technique, which was one of the things that was introduced to me years ago. And all of a sudden, in my spirit, in the last 2 years, it became something that I needed and had to do. And I had to share it with other people. That's that intuitive side of me coming forth and saying, hey, you need to be teaching this, you need to be doing this. So that's one of the techniques we'll go through today. Reiki is another modality. So you have meridians in your body, and most of energy work, I would say, is probably derivative of some Eastern Chinese or Asian descent, some type of medicine that works on the meridian systems in your body.
Okay. Give us some examples. Talk to us about that really quickly, because I'm thinking there could be somebody on the playback that they're into it. We have Asan Taylor who says, yes, I love yoga. She is here for it. But what about the people who are like, a meridian? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. We're talking geography. Like, what is that all about?
So in Eastern medicine, meridians are these invisible lines that carry the energy to your body into different areas, right? And you have these energy centers, also known as chakras, that are the vortices that produce the energy, letting it in and letting it out. The meridians carry it throughout the body. So it's similar to your arteries, right? But on an
Mm,
energetic level. So I'm going to break it down that way so we have a simple understanding. So imagine your nervous system, your arteries, the blood flow. Imagine your meridian system working the same way, this invisible system that carries all of these, your creativity to different parts of your body, your laughter. When you laugh, energy moves and travels, and it can heal. Also, let's say you experience a negative emotion such as frustration. You're sitting in traffic, your body begins to tighten. What does it do? It cuts off that energy flow.
mm.
So the meridians can't release and move that energy through your body in a way that is allowing for healthy circulation.
Got it. So Amy says, like we detox our bodies, we need to detox our energies. Okay, I get it.
Exactly. Yes.
Got it. And that is good. So you're going to help us with that tonight in terms of that. So you told us about the meridians, you told us about the chakras, and we need to release some things. And based on what you told us, can you take us through an EFT session, emotional
Yes.
freedom technique. So how do we set that up? And then, yeah.
Okay, so let me explain what EFT is, emotional
Okay.
freedom technique. So we talked about the meridians, and there's also a part of your brain that I have to mention this in order for it to come full circle. You have the amygdala, which is your fight or flight center. This has been with us since prehistoric times, and many of us are in survival through most of the day. So our amygdala is constantly in fight or flight, and we're either running or fighting, right? Surviving. But when that's happening, your creativity is limited, your joy is limited. You can't think of this awesome future that you want to plan for yourself when you're in fight or flight. So, truly, let's say you're being chased by a tiger, right? You're in fight or flight. When you're being chased by the tiger, is that the time to create your dreams?
I'm gonna say no. I'm trying to live.
If I ask you, hey, Shuli, what do you want to do in 10 years? Umar, I'm being chased by a tiger. I don't have time to talk about that.
Pretty much.
So EFT takes you out of fight or flight so you can connect to yourself again, get back in your body, get out of fight or flight, stop releasing cortisol, stop releasing all of these stress hormones that are literally disintegrating your body,
Mm,
causing free radicals to create cancerous cells in your body. So EFT helps combat that. And it's so simple, anybody can do it. And how we normally start is, let's say you take the emotion of anger or fear. We'll say fear right now. And,
okay.
and, and if you want to get specific, for those who are listening, you can name your fear. Let's say my fear is on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being I can barely sit still. I'm about to explode out of my body, to a 1 being like, it's an irritation. So
Okay.
let's say fear of what's going to happen with the election. Okay. And let's say my fear is at a 7, right? My brain is going off into this spiral. There are some tapping that I can do to help relieve that. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to move where you can see me,
Okay.
and you simply begin tapping on these acupressure points.
Okay. I'm tapping with you. And so when you say the acupressure point, but so we have people that will watch the replay on YouTube, and then we might have people that tune in on the podcast. So then when you talk about the acupressure point, tell us where we're chopping or
We're
tapping.
chopping right here on, I call this the karate chop point,
Okay.
and we're just tapping on the side of the hands. You can do either hand.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong. You just want to tap in this area.
Okay. I'm tapping. How many times do I tap?
You can tap as long as you want. You can tap one round. So there's no real amount of time to tap. So I can stay here if I want to.
Okay. So I have the fear that the presidential election is not going to turn out the way I want. If I say that fear level is on an 8, so I'm tapped in on that.
Okay, so it's at an 8. Mine is at a 6.
Okay.
And I'm just going to tap here. And I may even want to talk about that. So I'm going to say, well, I have this fear. It's at a 6. I'm worried about the election. I'm worried about whether my vote is really going to matter. And now I'm getting a little bit of anxiety. I'm really tapping in and I'm tuning in with all that emotion. And when I'm saying these words, what I notice for me personally is I'm getting some tightness around here. So you really want to check in with your body and notice what's going on with your body.
Oh, mine is in my chest. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to take you through the tapping points. I'm not going to talk about it just yet, but I'm going to take you through the tapping points first. So we're going to move to the top of the head,
Okay.
right here at the top of the head. And this is one of our tapping points. And then the inside corner of the eyebrows. And now I'm going to move to the outside corner of the eyebrows. And then I'm going to move underneath right here. And then I'm going to also tap here at the top of the lip.
Okay.
And then I'm going to move underneath the lip. And then I have one of my favorite points right here in our heart center.
Mm.
And then also under the arm. So where for women it would fit, it'd be about at your bra strap.
Okay.
Right under the arm. and then I'm going to come back to the karate chop points. So
Okay.
now that I've ran you through the points, I'm going to do a setup statement.
Okay. When we do this really quickly, we have Sports Talk with Friends. Welcome. There are our brother station, if you will. We are hosted there along with HOH 77.7. We have to give him love. He says, I'm really doing this with y'all. Yes, get it in
All
there.
right.
And
Welcome.
also, for those who are tuning in, even if you're catching us on the replay, tell us what your fear number is. If you had to rate your fear, drop that number so we'll see, right? We're going to see where we are with everything. And then, Amy Taylor says, this is a hand over heart moment. In our Fear to Freedom group, we do hand to heart, which is something that the Holy Spirit gave to me maybe 2015-ish, where I was going through some things and I was just led to put my hand on my heart and I'll ask a question. Holy Spirit revealed to my mind clearly, or just ask the question, right? And it comes. So that's what she's talking about. And Paula Sun says she's doing it as well. Hello to everybody tuning in from Dallas. We have New Orleans. So we're tapping, and he's about to take us through this setup phrase. Set us up.
Okay, so a setup phrase can sound something like this. Even though I have all of this fear,
I have all of this fear,
all of this fear about the election,
all of this fear about the election,
all of this fear about how things are playing out,
all of this fear about how things are playing out.
I completely love
I completely love
and accept myself.
and accept myself.
Even with all this fear,
Okay, I'm tapping on my head. Even with all this fear,
all this fear,
all this fear,
I feel it in all my body parts.
I feel it in all my body parts. My chest is tight.
It's showing up as tightness.
It's showing up as tightness.
I completely love and forgive myself.
I completely love and forgive myself.
I give myself permission to be afraid.
I give myself permission to be afraid.
I give myself permission to connect with the feelings that I'm feeling now.
I'm giving myself permission to connect with the feelings that I'm feeling now.
I'm not going to deny this feeling.
I'm not going to deny this feeling.
I'm the observer of this feeling.
I'm the observer of this feeling.
And I sit with this feeling.
And I sit with this feeling.
And I connect with this feeling completely.
And I connect with this feeling completely.
Wholly and completely.
Wholly and completely.
Wholly and completely, I connect with this feeling.
Wholly and completely, I connect with this feeling.
I'm not going to deny this feeling.
I'm not going to deny this feeling.
I'm going to fully express this feeling now.
I'm going to fully express this feeling right now.
I'm allowing this anger.
I'm allowing this anger.
This fear.
This fear.
This grief.
This grief.
Any trapped emotion connected.
Any trapped emotion connected.
To my fear.
To my fear.
To fully come up now.
To fully come up now.
I give myself permission.
I give myself permission.
And grace.
And grace.
As these feelings come up.
As these feelings come up. Frustration.
Oh, and sometimes while tapping, you will actually get an idea, a feeling, a word will come out like frustration, and it allows you to have a deeper, more specific feeling as to what's behind it.
So you're digging deep. Okay. All right. So if you guys are getting if you're tuned in with us, if you're getting anything coming up, just type it in our comments. We're doing this together. We're rocking. We're getting free, releasing these emotions. Okay.
I connect with this feeling.
I connect with this feeling.
And all feelings.
And all feelings.
On a soul level.
On a soul level.
I connect with this feeling.
I connect with this feeling.
Completely.
Completely.
And I allow.
And I allow.
An opening.
An opening.
For source.
For source.
And for those of you who want to use God or whatever you believe in, it's okay. You fill that word in. I allow my connection to source.
I allow my connection to source, God.
To open fully.
To open fully.
To begin the release.
To begin the release.
Of any trapped emotion.
of any trapped emotion
that is no longer serving me.
that is no longer serving me.
And as this feeling fully comes up,
And as this feeling fully comes up,
and I observe it completely,
and I observe it completely,
without pushing it down,
without pushing it down,
without denying it,
without denying it,
or trying to cover it up,
or trying to cover it up,
I allow this feeling to fully come into the
I,
light.
I allow this feeling to fully come to the light.
And I'm okay with this feeling.
And I'm okay with this feeling.
I am okay releasing this feeling.
I'm okay releasing this feeling. Should they be naming it, or should we name it specifically? So if
You
somebody
can name it specifically. So if for you right now it's anxiety,
yeah,
or frustration. For you, truly, it was frustration.
yeah. And Paula said uncertainty, so we could just call it out. Okay.
Uncertainty. Allow it to come up completely.
Okay.
And I allow this feeling to come out without judgment.
And I allow this feeling to come out without judgment.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to feel this feeling without judgment.
to feel this feeling without judgment.
Oh, fully and completely.
Fully and completely. That's good. We're rocking with you. Just keep telling us. We'll keep going.
Without judgment.
Without judgment.
Fully and completely.
Fully and completely.
Without judgment.
Without judgment.
To my core.
To my core.
I allow this feeling.
I allow this feeling.
The space.
The space.
To be expressed.
To be expressed.
And to be released.
And to be released.
I give myself permission to release this feeling.
I give myself permission to release this feeling.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a cellular level now.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a cellular level now. I felt that.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a cellular level now.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a cellular level now.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a molecular level now.
I give myself permission to release this feeling on a molecular level now.
Oh, we're going to go deep. We're going to try to clear this as deep as we possibly can.
I see. So when you say cellular, that just means more surface. Tell us the difference between cellular and molecular levels.
Well, see, oftentimes in our mind, in our subconscious mind, where a lot of these belief systems lie, we have specific words that resonate. So I will clear from a molecular level, I will clear from a cellular level, and then I will clear from your DNA. So we want to cover as many different words that may resonate with you differently.
Okay.
So I give myself permission to clear this from my DNA.
I give myself permission to clear this from my DNA.
I give myself permission to clear this emotion from my DNA.
I give myself permission to clear this emotion from my DNA.
So now we're addressing which would be familiar patterns here. Patterns that are passed down from the family. I give myself permission to clear this in all of my organs now.
I give myself permission to clear this in all of my organs now.
I give myself permission to clear this in all of my bones now.
I give myself permission to clear this in all of my bones now.
I give myself permission to clear this emotion from all of my muscles now.
Wow. I give myself permission to clear this emotion from all of my muscles now.
From every appendage in my body now.
In every appendage of my body now.
And I encode.
And I encode.
A message of healing.
A message of healing.
Of love.
Of love.
Of peace.
Of peace.
In every void.
In every void.
That the releasing.
That the releasing.
Of this emotion.
Of this emotion.
Will create.
Will create.
Filling it with love now.
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 Filling it with peace now.
Filling it with peace now.
And we do this because nature really doesn't like a void. When you get rid of something, you must fill it with something else.
Hmm.
And it's
So
such a layered thing, healing is. You may not release this emotion completely all on one session. So you can tap throughout the day. You can tap on any emotion that comes up. If it's frustration, if it's panic, if it's uncertainty, whatever that emotion is, as many times as it comes up for you, 5 to 10 minutes of tapping can help release all of that buildup of fight or flight hormone that's being released, which is keeping you just brain going, going, going.
okay, and on like you said, any subject matter, any emotion, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So let's say that maybe it's not maybe it's not the election for you. Maybe it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe every time you sit at your desk, you're nervous that next week you may not have a job. So when let's I'm gonna take a second while we let that shift, and I'm going to talk about the subconscious mind because this is so crucial. We've heard time and time again that we can create our life, but oftentimes most of us are not creating our life. Our subconscious patterns are is what is actually creating our life. So EFT is one of the modalities that you can use to help kind of clear out these subconscious patterns,
Okay.
uh, get the meridians flowing again because your body's not constricting, it's starting to release. Also, EFT can allow you to tune into your body. So maybe, like for me, I'm a naturally tight person.
Okay.
So it's usually not into EFT until I start tapping that I realize, wow, my body's restricted. I'm not allowing energy to flow. I'm not breathing deep enough.
Hmm.
So the EFT can just it can take you out of fight or flight enough to where you can begin to understand and check in with yourself and understand what your body's telling you.
I love it. Hand to heart. That's what I tell people. Check in
Hand
with
to
your
heart.
body. Hand to heart. Check in with yourself. I'm loving this. And also, I'm so relaxed. And you can see it in my eyes, I think. Okay, so Asan says, as we tap, do we repeat the words you spoke today? So, yeah, as they go forward and they're learning this.
So when I first started learning how to tap, my biggest concern was I wanted to get this right. There is no right or wrong way to do it. Your intuition is going to play a big key factor in how you tap. So sometimes I tap affirmative statements when I feel like I don't like if I'm at a 2 or a 3 on an issue and I just really want to firm up my belief system. I'll tap affirmatively. So I'm going to show you what that looks like.
Okay, come on.
Today is a great day.
Today is a great day.
I will utilize my mind
I will utilize my mind
fully
fully
to support me creatively.
to support me creatively.
I am a creative being,
I am a creative being,
and everything that I need
and everything that I need
is inside of me today.
is inside of me today.
So that's what I call affirmative tapping.
Okay.
So so that you get the gist of it, that's at the lighter end of the spectrum. So let's say if I'm really emotionally disturbed right now, I've just had something that has riveted me and I'm at a 10. I don't want to deny that feeling. I actually want to bring that feeling up. And
Mm.
it's okay to, let's say someone cut me off in traffic and I'm fuming.
Ooh,
I am so angry right now.
I'm so hot.
I can't believe this person did this to me.
Yes. A son said yes.
I hate driving in Houston traffic. So I'm going there.
Woo.
I'm not covering that emotion up. But
That's
our
good.
goal
So
is
it
healing.
allows you an opportunity to be so honest.
Yes.
Stop
So
lying to ourselves.
when we are healing, we can tap there, right? We can go there, we're breathing deeply. While tapping, is there a breathing technique? You just want to breathe deeply, diaphragmatic breathing. We want to breathe from the diaphragm. I can't believe this happened to me,
I can't
right?
believe this happened to me.
All I'm trying to
So
do is
can
get to
you,
work.
if you have a potty mouth, and I always ask,
Yes,
I'm yet being delivered. Can you say, I can't believe this fool cut me off?
yes.
Okay.
Every flipping time. Every flipping time I'm driving, right?
Okay.
So we now that we've got there, we've captured the feeling. Whew.
Whew.
I like to sometimes just sigh.
Okay. Whew.
I'll be in traffic today,
I'll be in traffic today.
and yes, I may get cut off,
And yes, I might get cut off.
and that's okay.
And that's okay.
I've cut people off too.
I cut people off too.
I'm not always the best driver myself.
I'm not always the best driver myself.
And even though I'm really frustrated right now,
And even though I'm really frustrated right now,
and I would like to ram my car into that other person's vehicle.
and I would like to ram my car into the other person's vehicle.
You see, we're just allowing it to come out. We're not really, and I'm free flowing here.
Okay, that's good. So just whatever comes up is what you're expressing, but you just have to make sure what you take out, you put the opposite of it back in terms of the positive and what you want your mind to think. Is that how that goes?
Absolutely. So we're going to
Okay.
replace. We're going to replace. We want to acknowledge the feeling, and then we
Okay.
gradually want to start releasing it.
Okay.
Even though I'm frustrated,
Even though I'm frustrated,
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
And those are going to be common phrases that you hear. I completely love and accept myself. I completely love and forgive myself. I completely and wholly accept myself. So those are, you always want to come back to that love and acceptance.
Okay. Amy Taylor says, I see a lady tapping on the bus in the morning. Now I understand what she is doing. She's prepping for that day,
She is
probably.
prepping for the day,
Yeah.
even though
Even though
I am scared of coronavirus.
I am scared of coronavirus.
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
Even though I don't like to wear this mask.
Even though I don't like to wear this mask.
And even though people are not wearing their mask.
And even though people are not wearing their mask and it's getting on my nerves because I know this Rona ain't for play.
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
I can't fix everyone else.
I can't fix everyone else.
And neither is it my job.
And neither is it my job.
There are so many things I have to be grateful for.
There are so many things I have to be grateful for.
And even though
I'm
sitting here
with these people, Jesus,
who are not observing the 6 feet distance
who are not
rule,
6 feet of distance rule.
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
Letting go.
Letting go.
And for me, I'm going to say frustration because that's the emotion that's coming up when I think about these things. Letting go of frustration.
Letting go of anxiety.
On a cellular level now.
On a cellular level now.
And sometimes I like to sigh like, letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go of frustration on a cellular level now.
Letting go of frustration on a cellular level now.
Letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go of frustration in my DNA now.
Letting go of frustration in my DNA now.
And what we're doing is you want to think about all the familiar patterns. So as you switch from subject to subject, you want to get in your mind and understand, what are the patterns in my family? How is my family frustrated?
Jeez.
Were they frustrated over money? Were they frustrated over people? So you want to connect, because sometimes in our DNA, there's a familiar pattern that needs to be broken.
So if you're talking about anger, things related to money or anxiety, depression, addiction, any of those kind of things. Okay.
Any of those things. And by the way, since you bring that up, EFT is not necessarily a substitute for therapy. It's not a substitute for medication. So if you're bipolar, I'm not saying EFT is going to replace your medication.
Right.
It's in addition to.
Got it.
So we've given some examples with coronavirus. Let's
Yeah.
do money. Do we have time to do money, Shuli?
So yeah, if we can do a quick one, yeah, we need to do the money. Let's do a
Let's
quick
do
one.
it.
Paula says, "I love that I am a creative being and everything I need is inside of me today." So she really liked that one. So yeah, let's do money real quick, and then we'll get ready to close out. We might have to have you in the Fear to Freedom group and actually have a class on this. I'll see how the people feel, so we can go a little deeper and have everybody maybe on the Zoom or
I would
something.
love to be there. That would be so much fun.
Okay.
So even though I have this fear
Even though I have this fear
that the economy
that the economy
may change my financial situation,
may change my financial situation,
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
Even though I'm watching the news every day
Even though I'm watching the news every day
and my phone has all these messages that tell me we're not doing well
and my phone has all these messages telling me we're not doing well
and I'm worried about my finances,
and I'm worried about my finances,
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
Even though I have friends who are losing their jobs left and right,
Even though I have friends losing their jobs left and right,
I completely love and accept myself.
I completely love and accept myself.
And I give myself permission
And I give myself permission
to feel
to feel
whatever emotion comes up
whatever emotion comes up
regarding money
regarding money
and finances.
and finances.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to express any and all emotions
to express any and all emotions
in a healthy way
in a healthy way
regarding finance.
regarding finance.
And for me right now, the emotion that I feel coming up, it's in my stomach and it is uncertainty.
Hmm. It's mine is in between, like right in here. It's like a flutter.
Yeah. So you can see how just by tuning into your
Nervousness.
body,
Mm-hmm.
some of you may be having tightness in your shoulders right now. Some of you may just have tightness in your jaw or
Mm-hmm.
anxiety in the stomach. I feel that like uncertainty in my stomach. So allowing that emotion to come up, giving yourself permission to feel it. And
Mm-hmm.
we probably have less than 3 minutes. So um, basically, I'm going to describe where you would want to go. So you're allowing yourself to feel that emotion. You're tapping on that emotion.
Okay.
Once it comes up, you can say, I give myself permission to feel that emotion wholly and completely and in a healthy way. So that
Mm,
gives yourself permission to feel it healthy. I give myself permission to express that feeling wholly, completely, and in a healthy way. And
wholly
then
completely healthy way. Okay.
and then from there, you want to start to move to a more affirmative statement. So allowing yourself to feel where you are, not denying it, fully allowing it to come up, letting that feeling, whether it's in your stomach, wherever it is, to come up, and it may feel uncomfortable, but you keep tapping. So let's say it's uncertainty.
Okay.
I give myself permission
I give myself permission
to release certainty from my cells,
to release certainty from myself, uncertainty from myself,
uncertainty from my cells
uncertainty from
now.
myself now.
And I usually, when I'm doing a release, like to tap 2 or 3 times on it. So for cells, I might do 2 or 3 times. Cells here. Then clearing the DNA, clearing
Okay.
DNA, organs. If a particular organ comes up for me, let's say my stomach,
Okay.
I can tap. I give myself to permission to release the trapped emotion of uncertainty in my stomach now.
Oh. Okay.
And just continuing to tap as I tap through that round, moving. And once I have released as much of that emotion that can be released in that moment, I begin to feel that void.
That's good.
So you can tap a prayer in, you can tap an affirmation from one of your favorite. If you have, like, I like Joseph Murphy, so
Mm-hmm.
I will tap in some of his affirmative
Okay.
phrases. You can use Psalms, anything
I
that
can
is
do
going
all
to
things
help.
through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, which strengthens
Yes,
you.
yes,
Okay.
you can tap
Good.
that in once you've worked to move and shift that emotion, because
Okay.
your goal is to take, if let's say if it's at a 5, you want to take it to a 4, a 3. You want to bring it down some.
I'm the head and
That's
not the tail. Okay.
yes.
Good, good, good. I'm sorry I cut you off. Um, Tell us how to find you. How can people connect with you if they want to do some individual sessions? And I'll go ahead and say I've done several individual sessions with you, and it's definitely helped me to navigate this time, uncertain time, and everything that's going on. And it has been such a blessing to me. And I thank you. But how can they find you?
They can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Beauty by Umar. Umar is spelled Umar. For anyone who needs to call me, I'm going to give you my phone number, 832, area code 832 641 6582. You can also visit my website at beautybyumar.com. And I'm here. I'm here and available, and I offer uh, Indigo Healing services along with my beauty services, and I enjoy seeing us look beautiful from the inside out. So
Yes.
let's.
Again, we thank you. Everybody, drop in your comment. Tell us how you feel after doing your tapping session as we get ready to get out of here. Like I said, this was a Wusa session. There are ways that you can do. I would consider this a part of our self-care and little things that you can do along the way to keep yourself grounded. And like you said, release those emotions so that you can be creative, so that you can move forward and you can walk in your purpose during this time. Because I feel like this is a really, I mean, though, like you said, though it's chaotic, there are some great things happening for people. And I thank you for freeing us up. It's all about fear to freedom. Make sure you tune in and catch the replay of this. It'll be showing up on our Spotify, on our Google, iHeartMedia. Join our Fear to Freedom group and like our Facebook page. Speak It with Shuli. And until next time, go out, share the information that you've learned, because in the spirit of the West African term Ashe, we have the power to speak a thing into existence. Good night.